Hi, I'm William, a teacher from the Mindcan STEM Institute. We at the Mindcan STEM Institute aim to help you along your road to becoming an engineer and an astronaut. We host all sorts of robotics competitions where students come from all across the world to compete against each other to create robots such as this one, and even code for drones and race them. Now, the road to becoming an engineer is not a short one, so we hope to do many projects with you along the way. And the first project we plan to do with you is this one, creating this fan-propelled car. Right, so in order to make this fan-propelled car, you're going to need a few things. Now first of all, and probably most importantly, you're going to need sticky tape and super glue. Obviously these are to hold things in place, and they're without a doubt probably the most important things here. Now, the second two items I want to introduce to you are these wooden skewers and straws. Now what these are going to do is essentially act as the base for the wheels. The straw will hold the skewer in place, whereas the skewer will hold the wheels in place. Now, on the other side of things, you'll need a pair of scissors so that we can cut the fan propellers out of the bottles. And finally, the other most important part, batteries and the motor itself. Now, any motor will do, just as long as you're able to connect it to a battery, it'll be fine. And finally, the last two things that I need to show you are the water bottles. Now, this larger water bottle we'll use for the body, as it is much stronger and more rigid than this smaller water bottle, which is perfect for fan blades. Now, the first thing we're going to work on is the fan propellers itself. Now, in order to do this, you want to get your smaller bottle and then cut out the top quarter of the bottle, like so. Right. Once you've disconnected the bottle, it's important to know that this is what we're going to be using to make our fan propeller out of. So the rest of the bottle is no longer needed. Now firstly, let's cut it into quarters so that we're able to distinguish which are going to be blades. Right, once you've done that, it's time to learn a bit of science. Now, how a fan works is that it catches the air as it moves past it and then pushes it forward, creating an imbalance in pressure. This pressure allows the car to move forward. Now, in order to do this, we're going to first need to bend the plastic out so we can clearly see the spacing between our blades. Although it may not look like much now, this will work as a fan. However, in order to make it a better fan, what we first must do is find the center of the first blade, start from the center, and then cut down towards the bottom left. Once you've done that, you can clearly see that the fan blade will now catch the air and then push it as it moves through. Continue this for all the other fan blades, and eventually you'll have yourself a working propeller. Okay. Eventually, you should end up with a propeller that looks a little something like this, where each blade is separated properly and each blade will catch the air as it pushes past. Now, it's helpful to use a bit of styrofoam or a bit of blue tack once you've finished in order to stuff it in there to make sure that it's solid. Right, so the next step in the process of making this car is attaching the motor itself to the fan blades. The first thing you're going to want to do is push the shaft through the bottle cap, which will then be connected to your fan propeller. Do it like so. As you can see, it goes through without any trouble. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the shaft sticks properly to the bottle cap. In order to do this, you're going to break out the super glue. And just put a small amount around the shaft itself, and then it should be good to go. Following this, attach the cap itself to the fan propellers so that it stays on properly. And finally, use a bit of styrofoam or a bit of blue tack and push that into the bottle cap itself so that it connects with the super glue and holds the shaft in place. The next step in the process of making this fan propeller power car is to prepare the body itself. Now, you want to get your larger bottle and get your straw out so that you can measure the length of your straw. In order to do this, what you're going to want to do, place it end to end and then mark it with your pencil or pen, just so you know where to cut with your scissors. Do the same once more, line it up with the end, find the edge and mark it. Once you've done that, simply cut it to length as such. Okay. After doing this, you're going to want to apply a little bit of super glue, not too much, so that the straw itself can bond to the body, and then use a bit of sticky tape to hold it in place while the glue dries. Once you've finished cutting out the hole for the motor and the glue has dried on your straws, you can now put the axle in for the wheels. Now the wheels themselves are very simple. Simply get a circular object, draw the circle on a bit of cardboard, then cut it out with a pair of scissors. Now, in order for the skewer to fit perfectly on the axle, you're going to want to first push it through so we have a back end. Put it through the straw itself, and now attach a second wheel. Simply push it through and then snip off the sharp end so that you don't hurt yourself later on. Okay, so if you've reached this part, you're basically done. Once the glue on the wheels have finished and everything's attached properly, all you need to check now is that your motor still works and the fan spins. As you can see, the fan spins perfectly and it stays attached. That means you're ready for your car to move. Well done, you've completed your first step on the journey to becoming an engineer. Now we here at Mindcan STEM Institute have a multitude of courses, of which you already know: engineering, robotics and astronauts. So now, in robotics you'll learn plenty about creating and coding robots such as this one. It has an ultrasonic sensor on the front which can sense objects and then do an infinite number of functions. And finally, the last thing that we have is a drone for the astronaut program. This one can fly remotely and even land on your hand. Thank you for joining me.